Hello, Move Nation, and welcome to another episode of United We Move podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Beckner, and today I am speaking with long-distance move athlete Michael Knox. I say long distance as he is located in Birmingham, Alabama, and we are, of course, in Decatur, Georgia, and so he is a virtual client, a remote client. Michael joined as an onsite member in the fall of 2017 after already committing himself to overcoming addiction to alcohol and cigarettes and reversing years of health issues through the ketogenic diet. All in all, Michael has lost around 100 pounds and continues to see steady physiological improvements. We discuss his mindset going through this process and leading up to becoming a member of our gym. And then eventually his decision to move to Birmingham to be closer to his family and what the process was like searching for a new fitness home and what's important to him when he's looking to start a new exercise routine or join a gym, and the importance of coaching and community, and a little bit about what it's like facing challenges and now that his daily routine is different due to COVID, like it is for all of us. As usual, this was a fun conversation for me to have. I love catching up with all of you guys, all of my Move members, both near and far, and feeling this connection that we all have through the power of the internet. So please give it a listen, and I hope you enjoy. So first off, thanks for joining me on the podcast. It's always great to talk to you. You know, whether or not we're on a podcast, it's good to talk to you. But,
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I think you have a unique perspective as a member. You joined us in October of 2017, I think. And you started with private training and fundamentals and then worked into group classes. You were a prominent member of the 0630 class. AKA Garden and Guns, AKA Book Club. And then you left the gym a little over a year ago when you made a big life decision to sell your house and move out of state. And I know you briefly found a new home, a new gym home in Birmingham, but since then, since COVID has hit, you decided to reconnect with virtual coaching. So it's been quite a journey just from a member standpoint, but that doesn't really tell your whole story. Before joining Move, you were already on a health and fitness path, and you made some pretty incredible improvements just on your own. I'm hoping you can talk a little bit about your past and maybe some challenges you overcame before you joined the gym.
Okay. Sounds like fun.
Good.
So my journey started about a year before I joined the gym, maybe a year and a half. At the time, I was a 315 pound drunk smoker, and I sort of got tired of being that person. Mostly, I got tired of smoking. And a friend of mine recommended a book called Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Smoking. And basically, I read the book and quit smoking, which is sort of crazy. It was, I quit with, I never looked back. Once I read the book, I quit smoking and didn't look back. And what I got out of that book is something that I've taken forward. So what I got from that book is, what if quitting smoking wasn't a big deal? What if you just didn't smoke anymore? How would you approach quitting? And it sounds crazy, but we work up such fear around quitting. It's going to be awful. I'm never going to be able to sleep. How will I ever, do the things that I do around smoking? And you have talked yourself out of it. And so this idea of, what if it was no big deal, got me to quit smoking, and without pain, without suffering, without anything. But I was still drinking, and I was still 315 pounds. So the next thing to do was, well, what if I just didn't drink? And so I quit drinking and started walking. And I lived in Avondale Estates in the neighborhood, and I would walk. It was kind of fun. I would walk 3 miles from my house to the pizza cafe, and then I would walk 1 mile home. So I was doing a 4 mile loop every day. But I will be honest with you, and I skip over the part where I used to walk basically from my house 10 houses down and back, and that was the walk, and I was out of breath. Uh, and then I would walk past that house to the stop sign and back, and so my loops would get larger and larger and larger. Uh, but but again, the whole theme was, what if it was no big deal? And it was just no big deal to go out and walk, and it was no big deal to stop drinking. Uh, and so the last piece of the puzzle was the diet. At the time, I had metabolic syndrome, which is upside down, good and bad cholesterol, high blood pressure. There's 4 things. Now I can't think of them all. Again, applied the what if it's no big deal, and went keto.
Yeah.
So it took a while, but I lost nearly 100 pounds right just before I joined the gym, and I was feeling good, and I was walking, and I'm keto, and that's when Shannon, who was a longtime friend of mine, invited me to her gym. She's like, "You've got to try my gym. You got to try my gym."
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, and that was life changing. And I went up and did and started asking questions,
Uh-huh.
and the rest is history. But so that was sort of the lead up of how I got to the gym.
So you said that basically you were deciding, okay, I'm going to stop smoking. Okay, I did that. I'm going to stop drinking. And you did that. And then you started walking, and then you gradually adding in a little bit more walking every day. What was going on mentally for you during those processes? I mean, was it up and down? Were you feeling, once you made that decision, were you feeling any urge to go back?
To the old lifestyle?
Yeah.
No, really, not really. And that's sort of what is sort of surprising to me, is that it was almost continuous momentum for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe just it was how sick I was, and how I was getting better and better and better and feeling better every day. Um, but to this day, I'm sort of, you know, I'm proud that I've gone through these life changes, and I'm going through this virus thing and pandemic with everybody. And I haven't gone back to drinking, and I haven't gone back to cake eating, and I haven't gone back to smoking.
Hmm.
Uh, so, so no, it was just continuous.
And how did you decide to start adding on those extra steps or those extra miles or habits or whatever? What was the process for you as far as determining what was your next step?
I think it almost always goes back to how I felt or how I feel in my body.
Hmm.
You know, I I didn't feel good smoking, and then I didn't feel good when I was 315 pounds. Nothing felt good, and so that that's what got it, was the feeling inside my body that I didn't like, and I had to change it. I finally got to a place where I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. A lot of people join a gym or start a health and fitness routine in order to lose something, right? They want to lose weight or they want to lose belly fat or
Right,
or
right,
or whatever. And you've certainly done that. That was certainly part of your process. Maybe,
absolutely.
maybe even you lost an addiction. Um, but what have you gained since starting your fitness routine or your health routine?
Wow, that's sort of, and all the things I've gained, uh, the strength and the flexibility and the mobility, uh, and some swagger and some confidence and some, you know, some of those things. All of those started in the gym, you know. Uh, I remember the first time I could touch my toes comfortably.
Right.
What was at the gym? It was, I'm not, so I don't come from that. Uh, so those are the things I gained immensely. My health, I am no longer metabolically sick. Uh, and I can touch my toes, and I can't do pigeon yet, but I can do
Okay.
90-90,
Me neither.
but, and a positive outlook, all of that is sort of related.
So you and I talk quite a bit about mindset and behaviors and habits.
We do.
How do you think your approach to these things has changed over the years?
One thing that comes to mind is the fact that I've done this, created new habits and created new thought patterns and created new behavioral patterns reminds me that it's doable. So even if I'm in a place that I'm not happy with, I know that I can alter it. And with relation to the gym, one of my recent authors, James Clear, I'm going to mangle his statement, but basically, if you want to start a habit, in my case, I wanted to be more healthy, go where that habit is normal. And
Yeah.
so going to move was where working out daily is normal, where celebrating, you know, being able to touch your toes or do a toes to bar or doing a pull up is celebrated. So that that has one of the biggest things I've gained is having gone to a place where the habits that I want to, where the person I want to be already exists.
Mhm.
I know how to do that now,
Yeah.
so I can do it again.
A lot of times when I'm coaching people, I talk about something similar. Um, you're talking about going to that place, and some of the stuff that I talk about is maybe not creating that place, but deciding who that future version of yourself is and moving towards that. So it's kind of a similar concept.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in the times like we're in right now, we don't have the gym, right? Or we're starting to get back to it. And maybe some people don't have that space or aren't comfortable going to that space yet. So how do you create that space for yourself? Or how do you bring those habits in that way when you don't have the place to go to where those habits are normal?
And that's something I'm really struggling with right now.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm trying to go back to when I walked daily.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was a habit that I had created at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I simply put on my walking outfit, my walking gear, and I went out and walked. I mean, there wasn't any doubt. There wasn't any. That was the habit I had created. Uh, so I'm trying to go back and recreate that habit. I'm struggling with it. Um, I'm not sure why,
Yeah.
uh, but I'm struggling with a lot of my healthier habits. With losing the structure of the gym
Right.
has not been good for me. I struggle with it.
I think that's interesting. And I don't think, I mean, obviously you're not alone in that. I'm sure there's millions of people who are having the hardest time dealing with a change in structure and of their daily routines. And maybe there's like an over reliance on that routine versus making it a rule or a part of yourself, right? So it's
Absolutely.
like if you're saying, we've talked before about stacking habits, like you're going to the gym to do the exercise. When you're in this space is when you do these things.
Right.
And so I think a lot of us will have to figure out a way to internalize those healthy habits versus relying on the group structure, versus relying on that specific space where we do all of the healthy things. It's like we have to embody it a little bit more. And maybe that's the future of coaching, is figuring out how to get people to be more self-reliant.
Absolutely. And I think that you say it exactly right. I depend on the group environment to stay motivated and to go and to do more. Left to my own devices, I am a slack taskmaster. but amongst the group, they pull me along, So that's and you're absolutely right. That's a good question. How can I internalize that motivation? That's what I'm missing.
How would you develop, or how do you develop a routine for yourself? You had a walking routine. Obviously, you have a keto diet that I imagine you're fairly strict on, at least you were, in order to lose 100 pounds. I mean, that's not just going to come off. You have to be committed to that, and you have to have a routine, because there's all of these things that can happen from day to day and throughout the day that will throw you off your diet if you let it. So, at least in those cases, how did you go about developing a routine?
Once I started walking and taking care of my diet, I really enjoyed using the feedback apps like MyFitnessPal and a Fitbit, and I had a heart rate monitor. And when you're 315 pounds, walking to the stop sign and back will get your heart rate into some pretty interesting areas.
Right.
And so that feedback really helped me reinforce the habit. And then once I got set into that habit, for some things I have some pretty impressive self-control.
Mm-hmm.
For diet and alcohol and carbohydrates and candy and all that sort of stuff, I have pretty dramatic self-control. But those technologies really helped me in the beginning. And even going to the gym, I plug that into MyFitnessPal. I love the month. I wish I could show you the month before COVID, so February. Mm-hmm. I forget, 12 or 16 gym classes, 4 yoga sessions, 8 run groups. I mean, so I enjoy looking at that calendar with all the physical activity in it.
Uh-huh.
And you know what I haven't looked at in 2 months? I have not looked at that calendar in 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe I should open that and start leveraging that.
Yeah.
To
Start
help
adding
get
it
me
to
out.
adding to the calendar.
Yeah.
Have you seen your commitment to health affect other aspects of your life?
What do you mean, like who I hang out with, or where I go, or the kinds of
Yeah.
vacations I do? Yeah, those
Yeah.
really do. Actually, I was rattling them off, going, oh well, kind of, yeah. Last year, I took a vacation with my sister, and we went on a hiking vacation for 10 days, in California. So I look for, I'm not looking to go to New Orleans and party for Mardi Gras, which is a fine and wonderful thing,
Right.
but
just not for you.
But I would much rather do a hiking vacation. And I have definitely, I'm sure it's no shock to anyone that, once I was not smoking and drinking, I've become much closer with my family and my sisters. You know, uh, that's been worth just about anything.
Has it affected other people?
Well, certainly, like my sisters, we all have open conversations about when we're trying to, perhaps they're trying to drink less or exercise more. So it's just part of a normal conversation. Hey, what are you doing to be healthy? Hey, I've tried this meditation app. Have you tried this? Do you want to go to yoga? So yeah, it's definitely changed, or certainly within my family and even in my friend groups. You know, when we talk about what we want to do and where we want to go. Uh, but I do think the openness about what you're doing for a healthy lifestyle is worth a lot.
Yeah. When you first joined Move, Shannon brought you along, or Shannon convinced you to come along.
Hmm.
What were some of your first thoughts about the gym and CrossFit in general?
That you people were crazy. um, and I'm lucky that I had somebody like Shannon to bring me in, because if she can do it, I felt confident. That it wasn't too scary.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't gonna be undoable. Um, I was intimidated at the beginning, but I got to tell you that fundamentals with Matt
Uh-huh.
really really made it a whole lot easier, because the I did do like a drop in session
Hmm.
just to participate one morning at 6:30, and probably would that's not the right way to get introduced to CrossFit.
Right.
I forget. I don't even remember what we did, but it was sort of intimidating.
Yeah.
But doing the one-on-one with Matt made it so easy and comfortable. Then when I started going to the classes, I had a better foundation. Uh, Not so much on the gymnastics. I'm still not real. The gymnastics
Uh-huh.
still are hard for me, but
Elude you.
they elude me. It has to do with core strength, and I'm getting stronger and more flexible. But I enjoy the variety of workouts and the variety of movements. So that part I really appreciated,
Yeah.
or still appreciate.
You had lost 100 pounds. Diet was better. Starting to focus on exercise. So that's all that year and a half period, right? And then you joined the gym. Had you done exercise or sports or anything like that before?
Not with any seriousness for a bit of high school. Well, I played football. I played football at Tucker,
Uh-huh.
uh, and played football till I was, I guess, in 10th or 11th grade.
Yeah.
Uh, and in high school, that meant you were a wrestler and
Hmm.
on the track team. Um, but I did all the fat man. In track, it was the fat man relay. It was the
Uh-huh.
lineman from the football team trying to do the. I don't remember. I mean, it was a lap. Oh my lord, that was the longest lap
Right.
of my life.
The quarter
So
mile.
and yeah, yeah, right. I was like, uh, but no. So I don't. And so after high school, no, I was not athletic particularly.
Hmm.
So I didn't really come at this from a history of physical fitness.
Hmm. So you were coming to the gym having really not done much exercise for quite a long time.
Right. Exactly.
So what were some early challenges that you had, and how did you overcome them?
You know, honestly, everything was challenging, and even now, most of it is, and that's supposed to be. But I I I I, I approached it as a show up and do the work.
Hmm.
Um, and the 6:30 crew is probably the best crew you got at the gym. Uh, the modifications were there, the encouragement was there, um, and the celebration when new things were learned. So between the show up and do the work, because if I looked at the workout before I left my house, I wouldn't leave my house.
Uh-huh.
So maybe that's part of why I'm struggling with remote training. Is but I mean, touching my toes was a big deal. Getting the push-ups where my chest actually touches the ground.
Yeah.
Um, my first set of thrusters, Lord have mercy.
Hmm.
You know, I still struggle with weight over my head, barbell over my head, but I'm better at that. So basically, lots of things were challenging, and it was the coaching and the classmates.
You bring up the classes. It's every class has a personality,
Yeah,
and the 5:30 a.m. very serious. They got to go to work.
absolutely. They're scary.
No messing around. No messing around. Very serious. The 6:30 class, they wake up a little later. Maybe they don't have to go to work till a little bit later. Don't have to deal with the kids as much. A
Right.
little more laid back. So yeah, each class has their own personality. So I think you fit in pretty well to that 6:30.
They changed my life.
Yeah,
They really did.
and you changed theirs too. So it's everybody brings something to the class, and you certainly had a particular energy. You would run up into the middle of the circle up, and
Yeah.
and that was the start of class. Michael's here.
I love that. I miss that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
You were at the gym for a couple of years, and then you moved. You decided to up and relocate to Alabama to be closer to your family. And of course, it's hard to commute to the gym from Birmingham every day. So,
Great.
so you had to find a new gym. And so, what is it like trying to navigate that? Trying to, you learned you were a baby. You were a baby CrossFitter
Right.
with us, and then I don't know if you ever even dropped in at another gym until you decided to move.
Right. I had dropped in a couple of times for work.
Okay.
And then when I moved to Birmingham, uh, I joined a gym, Wheelhouse Academy,
Uh-huh.
with one of your friends or
Yeah.
past associates, Lou and Wynn.
Yeah.
Great coach, with a neat concept and a neat gym. And although I was no longer a baby CrossFitter, it's still intimidating going to a new gym.
Yeah.
I had become so comfortable with my 6:30 crew, and able to be vulnerable and able to work together. Going into a new gym, it's tough.
Yeah.
This gym was good. They do it a little differently. It's not technically a CrossFit gym,
Right.
uh, but it's been really fun, and it's a great group of folks.
Uh-huh.
But I'm moving again, so I'm looking to try a new CrossFit gym
Right.
because I'm moving to a different part of town.
What is something that you are actively looking for when you're deciding on a gym or a program or whatever it is? What is it that you're actively looking to find?
Connection. I think that's what I got at Move, is that connection in that community. Um, it's hard to describe, but it's hard to find. Or maybe not. Maybe not. I've only tried one other gym, so maybe I ought to set my sights a little broader. But that connection, that camaraderie, which I'm learning how to spell lately,
Yeah. Right.
is what really lifts me up and really makes me want to go to the gym. You need a good coach. You
Yeah.
need a personable, knowledgeable, good coach. But mostly it's the other people. I can figure out how to modify.
Yeah, I think knowledge, especially now in the age that we're in with the internet, and everybody is a programmer.
Right.
Everyone is a health expert.
Yes.
So it's easy to find knowledge on how to exercise, and I think, yeah, finding that coach, finding the gym that's going to motivate you, finding that space is super important. And
And I will have to put in a plug, for for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
For me, it's I'm going to have to make sure that I reach out to the people at the gym, make sure I'm trying to make that connection, not sit back and
Sure.
expect it to happen like it did organically.
Just like each class has its own culture, the gym has its overall culture as well. And I've traveled, all over the country as well, and usually drop into a gym, usually drop
Yeah,
into a CrossFit gym because that's just what the culture is. We like to go to see other gyms,
right.
and not all of them have that type of community. And it's strange because I'll go to a gym where people aren't very personable and the coach is kind of quiet, and I'll be the loudest person there, or the happiest person or whatever. And it's then all of a sudden people start to loosen up. And I think it's just, how does the coach set the tone in the class, or how does the gym owner set the tone for the coach, and moving on down the
Absolutely.
line. I think even as an outsider, or at first you're an outsider, you have an opportunity to go to a place and build it up like that. And like I said, at 6:30, I think you did that. I think you came in and you had that energy, and it brought everybody up. Because 6:30, it's kind of a quiet time.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the type of people that come there, they're not going to be quite as rambunctious as the 8:30, for example,
Right.
and they're not as quite as serious as the 5:30. And so it's that middle ground between them. And so, your energy definitely brought everybody up, and we all of a sudden we were talking, and we were talking about books we were reading, and, things like that. And so I think you have an opportunity moving to another gym. If it's not exactly that way culturally, then maybe you can kind of help that out.
Inject a little bit of my energy.
Some Michaelisms.
Yes, absolutely. Ask them what they're reading. They look at me like I'm crazy, which is which is what usually happens.
Mhm. As far as nutrition goes, are you still following a keto diet?
I am still predominantly keto. I'm not necessarily always in nutritional ketosis,
Uh-huh.
but I do eat primarily protein, leafy greens, and healthy fats.
Hmm.
I don't really do beans. I don't really do carbohydrates. Certainly no starches or any of those types of things. But between broccoli and Brussels sprouts and spinach, you can get a pretty good serving size. Um, so yeah,
What was your impetus, or what was your decision-making process as far as like deciding on keto versus deciding on some other type of diet? And I mean, it's something you've stuck with for 3 years now, at least
4 years,
maybe 4 years now.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta
Quite a
get
while.
my dates right. Gotta get
Yeah.
my dates right on that. That was really the metabolic syndrome,
Uh-huh.
and I can't cite the research. So basically, I would just say, learning as much as I could about it, it really seemed to me to be insulin driven. It had to do with blood glucose and insulin, and so the prescription, the nutrition prescription for that, or to fix that, to me was keto.
Right. Low carb for
Uh,
sure.
Low carb for sure, keto because I thought I was sicker than most.
Okay.
Um, and then once I got into keto, carbohydrates, like in a paleo world where more carbohydrates are welcome, or different types of carbohydrates,
Mhm.
I would find they would cause me to backslide a little bit. The fruits and the sweet vegetables and stuff. So I would find myself, after having cucumber, I would want sweets.
Huh.
So that's sort of what's kept me in keto instead of branching out into paleo.
Yeah.
Is I'm a little bit scared that if I start, eating fruit, I'm going to then immediately start eating ice cream. And that scares me.
Right. Yeah. What is your goal now as far as what you're doing nutritionally?
My most recent goal I won was at my last physical, my last doctor's appointment. My A1C was 5.0,
Yep.
which was down from 5.1. And so that was my goal, and I got it. So my goal now is to use my diet to maintain a healthy blood sugar, maintain healthy insulin levels, and continue healing. I think
Low inflammation.
low inflammation. Um, I think my body is continuing to heal. I think I did a lot of damage in the preceding 30 or 40 years. Uh, and so I think I'm continuing to heal. That's my goal with my diet, is keep healing.
Do you know when you'll get there? Like, are there any markers in particular, like your A1C, that you're trying to hit, or your blood sugar level? I mean, your blood sugar's probably got to be pretty low.
It is typically, yes. I always, I like for my blood sugar to be below 100 at mealtime. That's sort of an ongoing goal. That's a good question, because I am getting healthy, and so my markers, the obvious markers, are being taken care of. The A1C in a beautiful range, blood sugar under 100 is beautiful. I had a condition, and I wish I could tell you what it is, but it's cholesterol in your eyelid and below your eye.
Okay.
I call it xanthan gum, but that's not it. It starts with an X. And basically, when I was metabolically unhealthy, I had obvious calcium deposits on my eyelids and underneath my eye. And even up until fairly recently, you could still see it if you look. And over the past 6 or 8 months, it is almost really gone now. It's almost completely healed.
Uh-huh.
And so that's a big win for me,
Yeah.
because I would see that every time I looked in the mirror. So that was a big one. So that's what tells me my body is still healing.
Uh-huh.
So for now, my goals would be to stick with the low blood sugar, low A1C. I got to get my body fat under control. I'm still struggling with that, but
Are you going to plan anything in particular as far as reaching those goals, or continue to do what you're doing as far as the diet? And I know you're looking for a new gym, so the exercise is going to pick up. Is there anything else that you're working on that's going to help bring all of that together?
as always, I'm reading different books about mindset, uh, and I like yoga. My gym here uh, did a weekly yoga session, which was awesome. So I think trying to do that in the age of COVID, I don't know how that's going to work, but
Right.
uh, the 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 yoga and the mindset, and also the meditation app Oak. Uh, I think those are important. But I continuously look for new ways to make progress. But I don't have a good plan yet, and you're calling me out on it. I appreciate that. Which is why I appreciate you.
A lot of times we talk, and you mention that you've been hearing my voice in your head.
I do.
Can
Every
you-
time I'm in the gym,
yeah.
I
So,
hear you, and I hear Kayla.
uh-huh.
I hear Kayla when I do push-ups. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So what does that inner voice mean to you?
What does it mean to me?
Yeah, and what does it do for you?
It's comforting. It really is. And they almost always are about form.
Huh.
And they're all typically mostly about form. Um, And so that's and a lot in core. Um, I'll have to think of some of the examples of when I hear you. But I do, and Kayla as well. She's my push-ups. She and I, every time I do a push-up, she is in my head about having my arms and turning my elbows out, uh, and in the plank position. So,
Do you ever hear yourself talking, or is it always someone else?
in that way, well, no, I do hear myself. Um, I hear myself saying things. Yes. So yeah. So like when we're doing a run thing,
Uh-huh.
I'm not the fastest runner.
Okay.
So I don't know who said it, but now I say it. Just keep them in sight. I think you said that one time.
I don't know.
Just keep them in sight. Just keep them in sight. I'm not necessarily trying to beat them, but just keep them in sight. I haven't died yet. So yeah. So there is some of me, but the coaching is there as well.
Well, what have you got on your agenda moving forward? What's next for you?
A new apartment, maybe a new gym, and that's about all I can do at this point. We're coming into summer. The family's doing well, so those are my top three things.
Continuing your diet.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's not a diet at this point. Maybe it's just a nutrition choice.
Yeah, at this point, it's being more mindful. So even keto, you can eat too much. I can have too much fat. I can have, instead of having a 4, 6, or 8 ounce piece of pork, I have a pound. Well, that's not really, that's, so at this point in time, it's about nutrition being sloppy or more controlled. And so that's what I need to do, is get it back into control. Because the ingredients don't change, the quantities do, though.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to the conversation?
No, this has been a lot of fun, though. I really appreciate your time. I miss you guys. Something fierce. No matter where I go, I will be a mover at heart forever. Y'all changed my life.
And you changed ours. We really appreciate you. I'm so glad that you stopped in early COVID when we had our last community workout of the year, or our last one we've had this year.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and then you decided to reach out and do some remote training with me, and that's been interesting as well.
Absolutely, we're learning. We're all learning a lot in this environment. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate everything you've done for me.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and hopefully we'll get to see each other sometime soon.
I look forward to it.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Come on, man.